man. Damn. All right, y'all. It's looking like it's over. We have the United States District Court for the Central Districts of California, United States of America versus Durk Banks, a.k.a. Little Durk, a.k.a. Mustafa Abdul Malak, defendant. Criminal complaint by telephone or other reliable electronic means. I, the complainant in this case, state that the following is true to the best of my knowledge and belief, beginning on an unknown date, but no later than or on or about August 18, 2022, and continuing until at least August 19, 2022, in the county of Los Angeles, in the Central District of California. The defendant violated Code Section 18 U.S.C. 1958A, offense description, conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death. This criminal complaint is based on these facts. Please see the attached affidavit continued on the attached sheet. Signed, Sarah Corcoran, complainant's signature. Attested to the applicant in accordance with the requirements of that stuff. All right, let's get to the affidavit. I, redacted. Affidavit. I, redacted. Being duly sworn, declare and state as follows. 1. Purpose of affidavit. This affidavit is made in support of a criminal complaint and arrest warrant against Durk Banks, also known as Lil Durk, aka Mustafa Abdul Malak, for a violation of 18 U.S.C. 1958A, conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death. The facts set forth. Number 2. The facts set forth in this affidavit are based upon my personal observations, my training and experience, and information obtained from various law enforcement personnel and witnesses. This affidavit is intended to show merely that there is sufficient probable cause for the requested complaint and warrant, and does not purport to set forth all of my knowledge of or investigation into this matter, unless specifically indicated otherwise. All conversations and statements described in this affidavit are related in substance and in part only. 2. Background of affidavit. Redacted. 3. Summary of probable cause. 4. Banks is the leader of the Chicago-based rap collective known as Only the Family, or OTF. In addition to OTF's status as a rap collective, I know based on the investigation that OTF also acts as an association, in fact, of individuals who engage in violence, including murder and assault, at the discretion of banks, and to maintain their status in OTF. For example, based on evidence collected during the investigation, including the interview of witnesses, I know that Banks put a monetary bounty out for an individual with whom Banks was feuding, named TB, Quando Rondo. As detailed below, on August 19, 2022, multiple OTF members and associates used 2 vehicles and worked in tandem to track, stalk, and attempt to murder TB at a gas station located in Los Angeles, California. The co-conspirators fired at least 18 rounds at TB's vehicle, striking and killing SR, Lil Pob, TB's family member who was traveling with TB. On October 17, 2024, a grand jury sitting in the Central District of California returned an indictment charging 5 co-conspirators, Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston, with crimes arising from the murder, including murder for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire, resulting in death, in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1958A. See United States v. Kayvon London Grant et al. Case number 224-621 MRA. Banks is identified as co-conspirator 1 in the indictment, which is incorporated herein by reference. Number 7. Based on the investigation, and as described below, evidence shows that Banks ordered TB's murder, and that the hitmen used Banks and OTF-related finances to carry out the murder. For example, bank and flight records show that an OTF member and close associate of Banks, co-conspirator 3, coordinated and paid for Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and another OTF member, co-conspirator 2, to travel from Chicago to California on the day before the murder. August 18, 2022. Co-conspirator 3 paid for the flights using a credit card linked to banks and OTF. Around the time that co-conspirator 3 purchased the co-conspirators' flights to California, iCloud records show that a phone number associated with banks texted co-conspirator 3 the following, quote, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me," unquote. Number 8. Additionally, on the same day that the hitman traveled to California from Chicago, Banks also traveled to California with another charged co-conspirator, Grant, on a private jet. Later that day, Grant purchased ski masks for the shooters to use to commit the murder and paid for the other co-conspirators' hotel room using a credit card in Banks' name. Earlier this morning, October 24, 2024, federal and local law enforcement executed multiple search warrants at locations associated with OTF members in and around the Chicago area and arrested Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston. After executing the warrants, the FBI learned that Banks had been booked on at least 3 international flights scheduled to leave the United States today. When Banks arrived near one of the departing airports, he was arrested by law enforcement personnel. Section 4, Statement of Probable Cause. Based on my training, experience, my personal involvement in this investigation, conversations with other law enforcement officers, witness statements, and review of reports and other documents prepared by law enforcement officers, I am aware of the following. A. Chicago-based hitman traveled to Los Angeles to murder a rival of Banks. 11. On October 17, 2024, a grand jury returned an indictment charging Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston with murder for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in the death of S.R. Lil Pop in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1958 and discharge of firearms and machine gun in furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in death in violation of 18 U.S.C. 924C1A Section 3, C1B2, that's a lot. Y'all get the idea. The grand jury also charged Jones with possession of a machine gun in violation of 18 U.S.C. 922-012. As alleged in the indictment, on August 19, 2022, SR and others, included SR's family member TB Quando, a rap artist known as QR, were near their vehicle at a gas station across from the Beverly Center in Los Angeles when 3 gunmen opened fire on the vehicle, killing SR. Lil Pop. Law enforcement personnel subsequently recovered 18 shell casings from the murder scene. 13. At the time of the murder, Quando Rondo had a public feud with Banks, aka Lil Durk. Banks is a Chicago-based rapper. Banks is a Chicago-based gang member and leader of the rap collective known as Only the Family, or OTF. The feud stemmed from a November 6, 2020 murder. The feud stemmed from a November 6, 2020 murder, where an associate of TB Quando Rondo shot and killed an OTF rapper named Davon Bennett, aka King Von. Bennett was a member of OTF and Banks' close friend. According to open source reporting and witnesses, Banks placed a monetary bounty on Quando Rondo's life. Based on the investigation to date, including open source resource, my training and experience investigating gangs and violent crime, and witness statements, OTF is a hybrid organization that functions as a Banks-led music collective and a gang. Based on the investigation to date, including conversations with other law enforcement agents and witness statements, Houston and Wilson are associated with OTF, and Lindsay and Jones are associated with other gangs in Chicago. B. The hitmen travel using funds linked to Banks. I know of the following based on my review of LA police reports, surveillance footage, bank and flight records, witness statements, and homicide detectives from the LAPD and federal investigators involved in this case. On August 18, 2022, the day before Lil Pop's murder, OTF members learned of the location of Quando Rondo from a longtime OTF affiliate, co-conspirator 4. After OTF members learned this, the following men took a one-way flight from Chicago to San Diego: Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2. The one-way tickets to San Diego were purchased using an American Express card ending in 2039 and in the name of co-conspirator 3, who is also associated with OTF and Banks. Based on records from Apple, I know that on the same day, a number ending in 9595, believed to be associated with Banks, sent a text message to co-conspirator 3 stating, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." C. Based on my review of hotel records, I know that Grant rented and paid for a room at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, California on August 18, 2022, using an American Express card in Banks' name ending in 1015. Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2 stayed at the hotel the night before. The co-conspirators tracked, stalked, and attempted to kill TB Quando. Based on my review of bank records, I know the 2039 and 1015 credit cards were issued under an account belonging to OA and Astronaut Sounds LLC. Based on public information, I know that OA was Banks manager in or around 2022. Georgia Secretary of State online corporation records show that Astronaut Sounds LLC was initially registered by OA in 2017. A request amendment was filed in 2021 and a new manager, Banks, was added to the business. The bank records also showed that the Astronaut Sounds American Express account have 4 credit cards issued to 4 individuals: Banks, co-conspirator 3, Banks' father, DB, and OA. Based on my review of records from a private airplane company, I know that Banks and Grant flew on the same airplane from Los Angeles to Miami on August 16, 2022, and back to Los Angeles on August 18, 2022, the day before Lil Pop's murder. Records from a rental property show that Banks' manager, OA, rented a house in Encino, California from July 1st, 2022 to October 1st, 2022. Based on investigators' review of photographs of the interior of the Encino rental, I know that video footage from an August 18, 2022 podcast shows the host of the podcast with Banks, wherein Banks appears to be inside the Encino house. On the day of the murder, August 19, 2022, surveillance footage shows Quando Rondo, Lil Pop, and others leave their hotel in Los Angeles and enter a black Cadillac Escalade. Surveillance video taken from numerous locations throughout Los Angeles, including Quando Rondo's hotel and the gas station where the murder occurred, show that the 2 vehicles followed the Escalade for hours leading up to the shooting. One vehicle was a white BMW, murder vehicle 1, and the other was a white Infiniti, murder vehicle 2. Among other things, surveillance video from the murder scene shows murder vehicle 2 parked in an alley behind the gas station, where 3 shooters wearing black masks exit the vehicle, later identified as Jones, Lindsay, and co-conspirator 2, walked to the gas station, and then opened fire on the Escalade. The shooters then ran back to the murder vehicle 2 and drove away. Murder vehicle 1 drove away from the area just minutes before the shooting. Approximately 50 minutes after the shooting, surveillance video from an In-N-Out restaurant in Los Angeles shows Grant, Jones, and Wilson arrive in murder vehicle 1. The video also shows Lindsay and co-conspirator 2 arrive at the In-N-Out in a black SUV. Based on a comparison of surveillance video showing the murder to video from the In-N-Out, restaurant, law enforcement identified that Lindsay, Jones, and co-conspirator 2 were the individuals who opened fire and killed Lil Pop. A few hours after the shooting, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2 boarded a flight from San Diego to Chicago. Once again, the credit card in the name of co-conspirator 3 was used to pay for the one-way tickets. Section C. Banks books multiple international flights after law enforcement arrested multiple co-conspirators and executed search warrants at locations associated with OTF members. 17. I know the following based on my conversations with other law enforcement agents involved in the investigation and my personal involvement in the investigation. A. In the early hours of October 24, 2024, law enforcement arrested Grant, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, and Houston and executed multiple search warrants in the Chicago area, including a warrant to search the home of co-conspirator 3. Shortly after making these arrests and executing the search warrants on October 24, the FBI received notifications from U.S. Customs and Border Protection showing that Banks had been booked as a passenger on 2 international flights. First, a one-way flight from Miami to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, UAE, connecting through Doha, Qatar, scheduled to depart the evening of October 24, and 2, a one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland, connecting via New Jersey, also scheduled to depart the evening of October 24. Banks did not board either flight. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time, the FBI received an additional CBP Customs and Border Patrol protection. The FBI received an additional Customs and Border Protection notification that Banks had been booked as a passenger on a private plane departing Miami and destined for Italy, scheduled to depart at approximately 9 p.m. Eastern Time. At approximately 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Banks was arrested by law enforcement in the vicinity of the departing airport. Section 5, Conclusion. For all of the reasons described above, there is probable cause to believe that Banks violated 18 U.S.C. 1958A, conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, resulting in death, attested to by the applicant in accordance with the requirements of Fed Crim P 4.1 by telephone on this 24th day of October 2024. Signed, Honorable Stephanie S. Christensen, United States Magistrate Judge. Damn, bro.